Hello, hello. What is up? This is the 1,000 subscribers celebration live stream that I'm going to be doing here for Classic Americana. I have a couple of my boots and shoes set aside right here. I guess I'll show you guys some of them. I'll do a little bit of shoe maintenance. I've been needing to do it anyway, so I figured it was kind of a fun way to allow some of you guys to watch if you'd like. Maybe keep it going if there's not a ton of people in here, which I totally understand, then kind of still gives me something to do, something to talk about. I asked people if they had any questions. Nobody really put in any questions, so we'll just talk however. What's up to Jim? He was in here before. I was talking with him earlier today. It's going to take a little bit for some people to come in, I think. Let me check and make sure that this is on X. 1 second. Okay, Jim says he does have some questions. Sorry, I was just posting, letting everyone know that we're live over on X really quick. Checking to make sure the stream's good. Alrighty. Okay, yeah, Jim's putting in some good questions. First, I'll go and I'll show you guys a couple of the shoes I have that I'm planning on going over today. So this is one shoe I'm hoping to clean up today. This is the Alden Indie Boot in Color 8 Shell Cordovan. This is what is inside of my inside of the thumbnail for this video. Let's see here. So this is my pair that I got. You can watch my review if you'd like. It has this roll right here, which is a flaw that was created by a messed up toe stiffener, I think. So they essentially sold me a pair of seconds, these boots, for like full price. And another thing that I didn't notice, you check these laces, they also sold me two completely different laces. This was from Alden Madison in New York. This is when I was still kind of new to boots. And I guess I got a little too big for my britches buying these without knowing how to look at a pair of boots and make sure their quality control, check them myself, because clearly Alden at the factory and at the and in person doesn't, and at the store doesn't do quality control. But at this point, it's kind of whatever. I've seen a couple other people. Rose Anvil has a pair of these, and his got pretty ugly, in my opinion, looking rolls too. An interesting thing is on this pair with the weirdly light laces, you can see a little bit of the toe stiffener here, but overall there's just this one big roll and then a little bit here, and it's a lot more normal looking. From the side profile, it's more normal looking. From the top, it's more normal looking. Let me compare them side by side again so you can see. I think it's really weird. You can see it almost gives it like a toe cap look right here. It's not the end of the world, but you can really see the difference side by side, I think. I mean, I don't think it's just me exaggerating. And then another thing is, the more I've noticed with time, the panel selection isn't the best. Like there's a light spot right here. I think you can see it in the lighting right here. On a couple of the, okay, like here on the insides here, you can see that this one is way darker than this one, which overall, like I said, that's not the end of the world for just the objective quality of these things, but I'm really not a fan of spending $1,000 on a boot, and those are some of the issues you have. Like at a certain point, there's just some level of variation inside of the, there's just some level of variation in the leather that's inevitable, and I'm fine with that, but it is a little bit frustrating. And then other shoes I have to show you guys. We'll be looking at these a little bit. I think I'll do a full cleaning on these, on the Aldens, then on one more pair, or at least partial cleaning on these. These are my Eastman Tenker boots. These are made by John Lofgren for Eastman or for Eastman Leather, who is known for making leather jackets, like World War II reproduction leather jackets. This is my first real pair of quality leather boots that I still have, which is kind of funny because these are a really expensive boot. And I basically jumped from a pair of Red Wings to these, and then returned to my Red Wings because they had that really long return policy. And so I ended up returning the Red Wings, and I've kept these. And so at this point, I've had these for probably almost 4 years. They're a T-core leather, which means they're a black that rubs off into this brown. You can see here there's a lot of the paint that's rubbing off. You can see here there's a lot of the paint rubbing off on the side. You can see it on the back of the heel. You can see this part of the heel wearing unevenly where my heel strikes. So my heel strikes right here and it wears down a bit of the rubber. I thought the lighting's pretty good, but honestly, there's a little bit even less that it's picking up than I would like it to. You can see on the more of it here. There you go. On the tip of the toe, you can see some more of the T-coring. And oh, here you can see a lot right here on the side, on the heel, stuff like that. On the ankle more here. And these are interesting. There's different levels of grain break on this shoe and on that shoe, but overall, because of the uniform coloring, I think it's not super noticeable, or at least to the same extent. And, it just didn't become a super big problem. And then the toe grain break, I was wearing these yesterday and I was thinking about it. I was like, the creasing on the toe, especially since I started finally putting shoe trees in, is pretty minimal. And that's what made me think maybe these might need a conditioning. I've only conditioned these or cleaned them once. And so I thought that they might benefit, especially since I'm kind of decreasing them to a certain extent or minimizing the creases with these shoe trees. And then obviously they have these straps that go up like this. They're called tanker boots because they were designed for the tankers in World War II so that your laces wouldn't get caught up in the tank. And then the last pair of boots I'll be showing you, or I have one more that I'll show you, but I'm not going to be cleaning. And I'm not going to be cleaning these ones either, but these are just for show, to show you a little bit of my collection. Sorry, one moment. But this is a pair of White's boots, a collaboration with Rose Anvil, the guy who cuts all the boots in half. I've met him before. He's a really nice guy. This is called the Drifter 2. So this is a packer boot, meaning it's like a laced cowboy boot, but it is styled with the firefighting toe. So this has kind of the sloped dogger is what they call it heel. It's a tall heel. It's pretty much 2 inches, I think. And this leather's T-core leather too, just like this one. But these boots are thin horsehide, and these are a really, really thick cowhide. But they're both T-core, and then it has this one little unique, this is the same leather in a different color, brown accent here. So you can see all on the inside of the tongue, for example, that the leather is brown, but there is a black pigment on top of it. So I just realized the other day, I'm just starting to get the first couple signs of wear. You can see this big scuff here on the heel. Starting to get the first signs of wear on these. And so I should be getting some brown peeking through pretty soon. On the toe, you can see, so these, also another thing worth mentioning, these have an unstructured toe. So it came originally kind of rounded, and then you can see how over time there's this creasing pattern on these, and they now have more of like a pointed toe. There's no structure in this toe. So it kind of creases and folds naturally with your foot, which is one of my favorite looks. And what makes it interesting is you can see from here, it has this really kind of snub nose, square shape when you're looking down at it. But from the side, it's actually kind of pointy looking. And these are a little bit, they're not fancy, but they're a little bit like sleek looking from the side. And then they give you actually a decent amount of room. These are in a 10.5 triple E. White's is amazing for their sizing, versatility and everything. And then another thing is that so White's offers different construction methods. They have a Goodyear welt, they have stitch down, and then this pair is hand sewn. So these are the most expensive construction method that White's offers. So they're literally with a needle and thread in a person's hands here in this, I don't know if you would technically call it a welt since it's not Goodyear welted, but I'll still call it the welt. There's this piece of leather right here, and then these stitches, and then this piece of leather is also stitched into the top. And it is literally hand sewn to the boot, and then it's nailed in the back. Maybe I can show you. You can see on this shelf, the stitching goes back slightly. And so these are super thick, super heavy. I think they're like 2 or 2.5 pounds each boot. And then I'll show you on this one. One thing I want you to notice, the creasing on this is almost an X. There's like a line here and a line here, and then a dip right here, and then a bulb. So there's that X on the toe. That's on my left foot, that's on my left foot, which is my smaller foot, I believe, or maybe it's my bigger foot. I think it's my bigger foot. And my feet are like an entire half size different. And then on this one, you can see it has a different toe shape. And when you look, it's because there's 2 big creases in there. 1, 2, and then this little weird dip. And there's completely different pattern in this. because it's such like a brute force construction method and this big heavy leather and everything, there's a little bit less nuance in like the creasing and everything. So there's a totally different creasing pattern. I guess I'll just hold them and show you between the two boots, which I think is very interesting. Yeah, there you go, here and here. I don't have any of my nicer shoes here today. I have a pair of loafers that are getting messed up that I need to take to the cobbler, but I'm not prepared to do any work on those. And here you can see no real scrapes on the toe, although there is definitely here on the where the stitching is. And then on the heel, there's a little bit of scratching here, but more on the left boot, I guess. Oh, this also has the Vibram Mini Lug sole. So this is designed to be like a cowboy laced up cowboy boot, but a little bit more wearable with this wider firefighting toe. And this is the collaboration with Rose Anvil. So these were pretty cool. I got these 2.5 years ago, I think. And I've had those other ones for more like 4 or 5 years. And then the last pair I will show, give me 1 second. These are small, so I'll just lace these up because it won't take that long. Hey, if anyone else is watching, I can see more than just Jim is watching now. Feel free to drop any questions you'd like me to answer down below. Before I start doing some of the cleaning, I'll be happy, or during the cleaning, I'll be happy to answer. This is another pair that is going to be controversial, I think. This is the Jim Green African Ranger, and this is pretty much like my daily boot. These are in a veg tan, like a brown, russet, brownish red veg tan, and they're a very unique boot with this weird slanted toe cap here. They have this little bit of heel padding. It's this low, almost like chukka boot height with this wedge sole. They're a pretty ugly boot from like a pure aesthetics perspective. They have this big bulbous toe, which is great for my wide feet. They have their own special soles here. But I really like this pair a lot. They're just super, super comfortable, and they're nice in this veg tan leather, so they've been aging super well. I wore these for a trip to Disney World, and I wore them the entire week. They were super comfortable. There's a tiny bit of staining here, which I don't know what it's from, probably some glue or something. These got completely soaked when I was in Florida, and you can see at Disney World, there's this little line right here, a super faint line. There's a little bump and then a line here. I wonder if it's stronger on this other boot. Yeah, it might be. Let me see. So you can see this staining right here. We were caught in a torrential downpour at Disney World. Like, I mean, walking around for like 40 minutes or 50 minutes in the rain, like in nonstop, like rain blowing sideways type of rain because the wind was so bad. And we packed because it was the summer, we packed for the summer. And so those boots got completely soaked through. But the only area where this line is the one little area of the toe cap that for some reason never got soaked through. The rest of the entire boot was wet. So now there's these little bit of stains, and they were a lot stronger when they first got wet, and now they've kind of gone away with time. These are probably due sometime soon for a cleaning, but I mean, unless this thing's going to be like 3 hours long, I don't have time to do all of these boots. And then also for my wife, I'm going to be cleaning a pair of her cowgirl cowboy boots. They have this, I think you'd probably call this a cutter toe. You could call it a narrow square toe. These are like a cheaper, more affordable work boot. They have this like unit plasticky sole, kind of like what they do on a lot of Red Wing boots. And then this double row of stitch down on the boot here. And then I don't think it's technically a leather sole, but some type of smooth sole here. And then a really tall shaft. And hers, she wore hers in the rain too. You can see there's staining here, which it's been a little while since they first got wet. That's fading too. But just because they got so wet, I wanted to condition them a little bit. So I'll probably do those. And now I'll answer a couple questions, and then I will get started showing you guys all the different shoe cleaning stuff I have, and then we will do a little bit of the cleaning. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to answer some of Jim's questions really quick. Like I said, if anyone else is watching, feel free to ask any questions that you have. Should sweaters be tucked in? So this is something I haven't even figured out myself. I like the idea of tucking in a sweater, especially when so many sweaters these days have those really like wide, loose ribbed bottoms. And there's not like the tight ribbing on the bottom of the sweater. And so to get a properly fit proportion or whatever, like to get, it's not really the rule of thirds, but that's what everyone says, the rule of thirds, but like to get the top half smaller than the bottom half, a lot of times you would have to tuck in the top and tuck in the sweater. I've never done it because the idea of it being bulky in my pants like feels weird in my brain. The main sweater I wear from Heimat, Heimat, is pretty tight in that little ribbed area, so I can just flip it up, like roll it into it on itself, or I can put it up on top of my belt and it kind of sits there. Excuse me. Soda's making me burp. And so if I do that, I don't need to tuck it in. But if I did have a looser sweater, then I would consider tucking it in. And then another issue is that I don't have any thin sweaters. I definitely think if you had like a thin sweater that you were planning on wearing, like those thin V-neck style dressy sweaters or like a cashmere sweater, and it had like a loose bottom to it, I would definitely consider tucking that in because it wouldn't carry as much bulk in your pants. Because with the two, I only own 2 sweaters, and for the 2 wool sweaters I own, they might add like an inch to my waist in extra bulk if I tucked in my pants. So if my pants weren't loose, like I'm not sure how much room I would have to play with in that area. Next question. I'm going to skip around a little bit. I'll come back and ask you. Yeah, those cowgirl boots are totally mine. You're right. If I could collab with one brand, who would it be and what would I do? That's a good one. I was thinking about that. I've thought about the stuff, like what I would sell in the past, you know? I would like to release, like if someone else had a menswear line and I could release like my own blazer or jacket, I think that would be really cool. That way I could kind of specify like the things that I liked and I could do my own line of those. I would love to do my own boot for some company. Like a boot collaboration would be amazing. A shoe collaboration too. I would just be a lot pickier because the amount of brands that I could work with were like the shoe that they provided me and also the shoe that I sold to everyone else, to where the shoe they provided for me could actually fit my foot. Like my foot is so wide that my options are kind of limited. So like if I could do like my own, the way that a lot of shops get to do their own models, like with Alden or something, like I would totally go and do my own Alden indie model or something like that, even though Alden screwed me. Or I would do like a Whites collaboration or a Nick's Boots collaboration. My favorite brand though is like Mr. Freedom, and they don't do collaborations, but if I could do one with them, that would be cool. Obviously like J Press or Brooks Brothers, that kind of stuff would be cool. The issue is just that like outside of specifying, I like this about this shirt, or I like this about this shirt, and just making whatever to me is like the ideal shirt, I don't have enough original thoughts on like designing my own shirt, I don't think, to really feel like I would need to create my own brand. Although doing a collaboration makes it easier. Like if I could do like a J Press collaboration with the flap collar OCBD, that would be really cool, and like put a taller collar on it. But I would probably do my own blazer or my own shoe collaboration. I'd like the idea of doing like a belt or leather goods or a hat, some of that stuff too. It would just depend. I want to do this one too. Thoughts on Buck Mason, because I'm wearing a Buck Mason shirt right now. What is this called? I don't know. It's the, I guess whatever their best selling shirt is, this is like the long sleeve version. I was at a Buck Mason outlet and I bought, or store, and I bought this shirt and then another J Press Buck Mason collab, which is where I have that white OCBD that I wear in my Instagram, in the Instagram photo I have up. That's where that's from. Yeah, Jim, you said Buck Mason seemed very Western Americana. I think they call it Western Prep or Western Ivy or something like that, or California Ivy or California Prep or something. It's very like California, Pacific Northwest. It's like a mixture almost of like a little bit of preppy, a little bit of cowboy, a little bit of like surfer. And then it's like kind of, because the colors and everything are so bland, so that everything kind of sits in the same palette and is like approachable for everyone. It's a little bit like normcore feeling too. I like Buck Mason. I like this shirt a lot. I would consider buying the t-shirt version of it. And I also like the welterweight like sweatpants and sweatshirt that they sell. I think that's really cool. I think that would be cool to buy from them. But the rest of their stuff is not my favorite, honestly. I saw a lot of it in person. A lot of their tailoring, like their jackets and stuff, I wasn't really a fan of. They had a couple really, really big coats like to go over a suit Those were really nice. I like those. And there was this girl who bought from the women's section when I was there, a super cool, almost like an A1 bomber jacket, I think, or whatever the first bomber jacket in like nylon is, like the first green plasticky bomber jacket with like a big fur collar. That was super cool. But I don't love the fit of Buck Mason's pants. I've tried them on. They're too narrow for my legs. I have too much thigh muscle, and I prefer too wide of a fit for their pants to really work for me. But overall, I think it's fine. It's probably a little expensive for what it is, but I think it's a really good entry point for a lot of people. And all right, last question. Any other questions? Feel free to drop in here. I will definitely answer them. Please make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed, like the video, share it with someone. Worst current men's trend. I'm curious what men's trends there even are right now. I feel like Jim's my buddy, so he knows he's in the similar world to me, but I feel like a lot of the stuff I like isn't super trendy. I will say one of the things that I like is that Ivy is becoming super trendy. Like Ivy League style preppy stuff, all of that, wider pants, higher rise pants are all becoming trendy, and I really like that. I'm trying to think of what I don't like. Oh, I guess from like a mainstream perspective, I don't like all of those. I don't like the low rise baggy look that's becoming popular again. I think that's terrible. I think it looks really bad. I don't like the look of that at all. That's probably what I would say. Oh, and I also don't like the way that, like, the vulgarization of especially Japanese fashion right now and Japanese denim. There's all like these TikTok groms talking about, oh my goodness, Japanese denim is the best in the world, which yes, it probably is, but like, could we have a substantive conversation about that and not just repeat talking points that you heard some other person on TikTok say? And then they talk about how they're like starting their new, totally original, wide leg, low rise, raw denim brand. And I think that's unimpressive and pretty lame. I would say that's probably my least favorite trend. That's what I complained about in my last video as well. So here I'm going to start doing a little bit of the cleaning. I'm just going to do some brushing first. I'll show you guys some of my different stuff. My setup's pretty simple. There's something I have that's missing, but that's fine for now. So here we have this Indie boot. Put it right here. I have this Red Wing like waxy conditioner that I'll probably put on my wife's boots. I have everything. This saddle soap for cleaning and conditioning. There's a decent amount of conditioning in this. It says clean and polish in one step. And then, which I normally wouldn't do both of these, but since her boots are like 5 years old and they've never been conditioned, I have this Alden specific Shell Cordovan like waxy cream polish, I think. Fine paste wax. I normally put this on last. Yeah, it's like a polish. And then I have this boot and shoe cream polish, which I guess is more of a polish, supposed to give it like a light, shiny polish. I basically use this as like the final conditioner after I use the saddle soap. And then separately, I have this little thing for water. I need to buy more of these horsehair brushes, but I have this horsehair brush, this big one. I probably need 2 more of these. And then I have, let's see here, this Red Wing one, which is all nasty. This is the one I use to apply that Red Wing wax. So this dauber brush only goes with this because you can see here it's all nasty. And then like this one is smooth and nice, and this one's nasty. And then separately, I think this is for getting dirty shoes clean. And then this one is for application, because I don't remember. I haven't cleaned these in a long time. But I think because this is so dirty, I'm assuming this is what I use to get into the welt and stuff for some of the boots. So first thing, I have shoe trees inside of these boots. You can kind of hear that it has the shoe trees in it. So it's kind of pulling it down, stiffening the boot out. And the first thing that I'll do is just come in and brush it and clean it, get all the dust off. You don't want to put all of those waxes and oils on top of a bunch of dirt. And I brushed all of my boots like a couple weeks ago, and I haven't really done anything with it with them since then. I noticed that some of the ones I hadn't worn in a little while were collecting dust. Also, just for anyone who's coming in who doesn't know me that well, I guess some of these boots are a little expensive, but truth be told, I stupidly spent way too much money on clothes for a long time. Plus, I bought all these while I was living at home, plus while I was in college, also while I was working like 50 hours a week. So I basically, my whole priority was getting out of college debt free and buying as many shoes as I possibly can. So I've collected all of these over about 5 years. So that's probably a pretty good brushing, I think. I'll probably actually take the laces out of these shoes because I'll show you one thing about Shell Cordovan. It has so many waxes in it. It does this thing called blooming, which is where like the waxes on the top kind of like from the inside of the leather kind of come out and settle on the top of the leather. I think they call it Shell Cordovan Bloom, B-L-O-O-M. I also want to clean the tongue of this. But so it creates this like white, it almost looks like mold. It's like this white film on top of the Cordovan. And I'm getting it on this boot right now. Or I was. Maybe it was just dirt. Or is it worse on the other one? Oh no, it's definitely here. Here, I'll show you. On right here, you can see this white. That white right there, that's a little bit of the bloom of the wax right along the stitch line. See how it goes really abruptly from dark to light? That's the wax bloom, probably mixed with a little bit of dirt, honestly. Here I can show you the inside of the boot with the shoe tree, with like this liner and everything. But let me brush the tongue area down. One of the things I hate about these boots, probably because my shoes are different, my feet are different sizes, but one of the tongue on my right boot, the boot I'm holding right now, sits super, super well. And then the tongue on the left boot doesn't sit very well. And it's really frustrating. I don't like that at all. I guess maybe everyone experiences that to a greater or lesser extent. And I've also heard that for these, the solution is to like be super fast and not to be super forceful for it. Like when you're brushing, to kind of, because when you brush, it like slightly heats up the leather and it liquidates some of the waxes that are on them. I think you can probably already tell. I'll put these side by side with this brushed version or with this brushed boot and the non-brushed boot, but it'll get, especially this Cordovan will naturally get a lot shinier. I think you can probably tell that this has already gotten shinier. All right. Oh, I also should have shown you, especially on this boot, I somehow got a big gouge on the back of this one, which is a really big bummer. Shell Cordovan's not like regular leather, so you can't really restore this and like kind of make it disappear in the same way you could with a regular piece of leather, which is disappointing. Come on, guys, we're still at 8 likes. If you're in here and you haven't liked, please make sure to like. If you're in here and you haven't subscribed, please make sure to subscribe. I appreciate everyone being here for the big 1K. You know, we hit 1,000 subscribers 1 week ago. This channel's like 6 years old. We hit 1,000 subscribers like a week ago, and we're already almost at 1,100. We actually might be close to 1,100. Let me look. Oh, it says we're at 1,100 on my phone. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so let me put these side by side and let's see if there's a difference after this one brushed and this one. No, they both look kind of shiny still to me, I think. I don't know, Jim, does this one that I just brushed look shinier? I feel like it doesn't. Maybe I'll switch them and switch hands with them, and maybe you can see does the one light? I guess this light makes it look shinier. If I move them more right here, or maybe this one just really is shinier. I guess this one looks slightly shinier. I don't know. Anyways, okay, I'll brush this one down too now. Yeah, Jim said I used my EBT card on Drip. Not even. I actually worked like, I haven't stopped working since I turned 15 and a half or something. So I just spent all my paychecks. Like if I've never made that much money, but if I've made like over the last 10 years or whatever of working, just or 7 years or whatever, if I've made 150 grand, I've probably wasted pretty much all of it on fast food and clothes, which is disappointing. Oh, and paying off my college and my car payment and stuff like that. But very little long term. I lost a bunch of money when GameStop was popular on the stock market. I had money stolen from me by like one of those fintech companies that YouTuber Graham Stephan promoted. So I got scammed a couple times, you know, had my mix of money spending. Getting here on the tongue a little bit. So now, yeah, this is definitely bloom and not dirt where I showed you here on the shoe, because I'm brushing it and it's still not immediately going away. I feel like I should have like some waiting room music or something to be more entertaining. And another thing you can get for these Shell Cordovan boots, they sell deer bones. Like you could literally just rub a deer bone on it and it's supposed to reduce the creases. I might buy a deer bone and try it out since the creases are so freaking terrible on these boots. But so I just brushed these ones off. I'm going to brush off the rest of the boots and then I'll start with the actual cleaning. We'll do these ones with my wife's really quick. Whoa, what the heck? Yeah, Jim says, yeah, it might just be the light, right? Yeah, wasted a bunch of money on fast fashion. Definitely. I was a sophomore or junior in high school when I started working, and I spent my entire first check, which was $160, I think, from my first job, in one night. I got my check on like a Sunday or something, or a Friday, and by 2 or 3 hours later, I had spent the entire thing on H&M.com buying stuff off the sale section of H&M. I bought like 20 things off the sale section for $160. Definitely wasted a ton of money on crappy clothes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Jim says he's spent $5,000 in basically 5 months, which, I mean, hey man, if you're working hard for it and this is the time for you to prioritize getting some nice stuff, then I don't see anything wrong with that. But here, let me try to move it so you're not staring at the bottom of the shoe. Trying to get all the dust off here really quick. And then what I'll do with these boots that I clean is I'm going to go from lightest to darkest when I start conditioning, because I'm going to have to share brushes between them. So I don't want to migrate any color or dye from a darker boot onto a lighter boot. Yeah, Jim says he badly needed to rehaul his wardrobe anyways, which is fair. And then I'll brush these ones. I'm not going to clean them, but just for the sake of, I'm already here brushing, I might as well get these ones brushed off, de-dustify them a little bit. This one's interesting. So this is a work leather. I think it's partially chrome tanned or something. It might be veg retan to be darker brown, but this is from Seidel. It's really a nice looking leather. I forget what it's called. It's kind of thick and waxy and worky, but honestly, especially with the T-core, it's honestly kind of nice. The first Drifter boot from Roseanneville was in a red color, a reddish brown that's really red, not like my Jim Greens, like a really, really red color called Red Dog. And that was really nice. I honestly wanted those ones more. I should have just asked Whites if they could have made me like a similar boot in the same leather instead of buying this one, because I literally have two T-core black, relatively tall, laced and strap are basically the same thing from an aesthetic perspective boots. So these boots really fulfill like the same part of my wardrobe that the Eastman Tankers already did, or like the same role in my wardrobe at least. So that is a little bit wasteful, I guess. But at this point, I've kind of made my bed. I have to lie in it. And then with this one, sorry, just let me put these straps up really quick to get them out of the way. Here. Get the dust off of this pair too. So for the I'm curious what you guys think or at least now it looks like it's back to being only Jim in here. Jim, I'm curious what you think. I'm thinking about taking from all the different channels and everything, getting rid of channel memberships on the other channel and then never starting them on this channel, and then moving over and only monetizing Substack. Basil, the guy who I've interacted with, I'm having him on the other channel next week. But Basil just started his Patreon. Okay, let me see if this is for the getting into the welt. Basil just started his Patreon, and he's only has like a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube, but he already started his Patreon. It's almost like he's building the premium content in from day one. And I think that's probably a smarter thing to do for both my workflow, the efficiency of my workflow, and kind of to be fair to the fans and everything. So I'm curious. I feel like I should just move it, like start paid subscriptions on Substack. I'm thinking I'm going to move on the other channel to bi-weekly videos instead of I was trying to do weekly videos. I'm going to keep weekly videos here on Classic Americana and a lot of articles on the Classic Americana Substack, which, by the way, I should have linked in the description. But anyone, check out the Classic Americana Substack for a lot of stuff related to this channel. A lot of times I'll end up making crossovers. So like the articles there will be turned into videos here or vice versa. And then some of the stuff over there will stay over there. But I'm curious about monetizing. I might end up just doing a paid subscription on Substack and allowing you guys to support me there. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a at least monthly podcast over there that'll be the reward that I give to the subscribers over there. And that way everybody who wants to support me can go to one place and they don't have to try to spread the support across multiple yeah, I should ask Anthony, spread across multiple venues. Because the issue is that if right now with Substack, I don't want to move to like a Patreon or something like that, because then I'd be spreading people across four platforms, and that just seems like a lot. Okay, these are brushed for sure. I'll brush my Jim Greens, and then we will actually start cleaning. How far in are we? 40 minutes already. Wow. All right, well, we're going to go another probably hour. I might clean less than I think today. I might end up only doing 2 pairs, but I think I can get 3 pairs in. Okay, a little bit more soda. I feel like this is actually the easiest method. For the longevity of your boots and shoes, just brushing them and having shoe trees in them are pretty much the 2 best things you can do. A lot of boots that are popular these days are made with super, super waxy pull-up leathers anyways, and there's so many waxes and oils in them, you don't really have to worry about them drying out. Just getting dust and dirt off of them so that they don't prematurely wrinkle, crease, and break down in those high wear points, like in the creases, especially here across the foot. And getting them with shoe trees inside of them to do the same thing, to minimize how bad those creases get, to help the inside of the boot dry out. Those are like the number 1 or the 2 best things you can do for the sake of the longevity of your boots and shoes. Oh, one cool thing about these, since they're veg tan and they're a little bit lighter, you can see a little bit of burnishing right here and indigo bleed. So there's a mixture of indigo bleed from my jeans and a tiny bit of burnishing just from my pants rubbing against here, which is pretty cool. But these are brushed. Let me take a little bit of this guy to the welt to try to get the dust out. These probably actually are due for a full clean for the first time, but I'm not doing 4 pairs of shoes tonight. That's going to take too long. Warlog 3343 says he's only ever experienced dry cracking in belts. I'm curious. I'm assuming by that you're saying from them not being oiled enough, and that I can see why that is. But I think that I don't know how many belts are really being made, how many belts are you talking about belts that are made out of like a thick pull up oily leather? I feel like a lot of belts are made out of like a drier leather, especially dress belts are normally made out of 2 pieces of leather with like a thick finishing on top of them. And so because of that, a lot of the times they break down that way. And around the buckle, they also crease a lot more aggressively than a pair of shoes does. So while obviously you should maintain and oil up your shoes and everything, I'm not sure. I would have to see what you're saying. And you and I just also might have different experiences. You know, I don't live somewhere where like we get a lot of wetness and snow and salt slush on your boots and stuff like that. And I know that would dry out and break down a pair of boots a lot faster. So how am I going to do this? I'm trying to think. How have I done this in the past? I think I'm going to assume I've used saddle soap with this guy before. Do I have a marker I can mark this with? No, I don't. I'm going to mark this with an S in the future for saddle soap. I'm going to use the water and saddle soap here to clean these cowboy boots, cowgirl boots. There are definitely brush strokes in here, so I have used a brush on this for sure. But you'll just take the saddle soap and take a little bit of water here, and I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of drip it off my fingers into the saddle soap. You could probably also just use your fingers or I do have some napkins here, but you could probably use a napkin. All right, I'm going to emulsify the saddle soap with this brush. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So here and here. And then you just come here. Oh, this is also the only pair without shoe trees in it. We don't have shoe trees for my wife's boots, so I couldn't put them in even if I wanted to. But come here, work the saddle soap into the shoe. I hope she didn't want to wear these anytime soon because they're going to be sitting here drying for a little while. Just this one dauber, I think I might be able to work the whole boot. I'll take a little bit more for this side. Also, like, I'm not a professional, so don't necessarily take all the stuff I'm doing here as like the law or anything like that. This is just what I've done in the past, and it's worked out decently well for me. And now I'm doing it again. So, you know, feel free to consult other people if someone else's opinion conflicts with mine. I'm just an amateur. My word is not the law. They are certainly welcome to disagree with me. See, this is where I think you really benefit from a pair of shoe trees being in, because this flexibility is making it kind of a pain in the ass. I'm going to leave this one to sit for a second before I wipe it down, and then I'm going to do the other one. The shafts don't really get super dehydrated. I'm not sure. It's kind of like a work booty dry leather anyways. I'm not sure how much it needs that. I'm going to move over to this one. It's going to need a little bit more water. Okay. I guess maybe I'll work it down the middle more on this one instead of working from the outside or from the side like that to try to spread it a little bit more evenly, because then maybe I can just use one dauber. Yeah, there we go. I think I'm going to be better off only have to use one dauber on this boot. Uh-oh, I just gooped up a little bit of the desk. Try to work your saddle soap, especially into the creases here. You don't want to, this is where a lot of the dirt gets worked into the welt area. Let me bring this a little bit lower so you can see. Work it here into the welt area a little bit more. Let me get this freaking sticky note out of the way. I'm going to work it into the toe bug stitching. That's a little cowboy stitching area. The western area is called the little toe bug. I'm not super worried about getting the heels, like this part, because I think those are like plasticky on these cheaper boots. Let me make sure up to the same point we're roughly conditioned and brushed and everything. So a lot of the saddle soap, I'm pretty sure it's just made out of natural materials, natural compounds and stuff. So a lot of it just gets kind of rubbed in and it kind of just soaks into the boot. And you can see a lot of it, especially on this first one, a lot of it's basically already gone. So that's one thing worth considering. Oh, my hand feels all goopy. I don't like the feeling of that. But I'm going to get this little rag, this little paper towel wet. And I'm going to wipe these down. Might have to go run and grab some more paper towels. I might get a whole roll. Once again, anyone who's here, feel free to ask any questions. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. If you have any comments, feel free to say them. I'm happy to talk with you guys. You know, the more you interact, the more fun it is for me, and probably the more fun it is for you. If you're spending your time watching this stream, then I'm sure you care at least some extent what I have to say about something. Maybe you're just a masochist and you secretly hate me. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I'm happy to chime in on any questions you guys have within reason. I'm going to take a little bit more of this, kind of dry it off with this one. And I'll probably get another wet one. And I'm just going to sharpen this little edge. There's a little bit of the soap down in this crease between the welt and the boot. There we go. And then a little bit on this piping here on the side too. Just try to get it in here. Like I said, these are all like organic-y, feel-good kind of compounds anyways, so it's not a huge deal to have it in there. It'll probably just soak in with a little bit more time. But to whatever extent I can, I'll try to get it off right now before I put on the little wax in a little bit. I might not even have time to wax them depending on how long it takes for these to dry. But that's okay. So the J Press runway show happened the other day. There's been a lot of reactions to it. I released an article on it. I was thinking whether or not I wanted to do a video on it just because I'm doing this stream and then I already did a video this week and I felt like for it to be pertinent and like on time, I would have to release it this week. And now I'm thinking I'm not going to have time to make anything that'll be released by like the weekend. But maybe I'll release it first thing next week, and then maybe I'll turn what was supposed to be the beginning of next week's video into a later video. And maybe you'll get 2 videos this week and 2 videos next week. The channel's been growing a lot right now, so it would probably be a good way to take advantage of the momentum that's already here. Thank you guys. I just noticed and saw there's a couple more likes, so thank you for everyone who liked. If you haven't liked, please make sure to like if you're watching, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. You know, this is supposed to be the 1K celebration, but we're already up 100 from that point last week. So this has become the 1.1K celebration. We're growing quickly. Get in now. You know, now's the time to tell everyone. I remember the 1K celebration when all the fun stuff happens later on. Like what Jim was saying, when I finally get my collab with a cool boot company or a shirt company or something. Who knows? Okay. These are sufficiently wiped down for my taste. We will shift to the Eastmans. Now, the Eastmans are, I guess, to some extent darker than the shell Cordovans, but I don't really want to risk transferring anything red onto this boot. I'd rather, I guess, risk transferring black onto the other boot. But this only got brushed on the bottom. It did not get brushed on the top. Let me brush in between this tongue right here. You can see there's actually a lot of dirt here in this tongue. I don't know how well you can see that. I wonder how well this, like, it's not edited. A lot of those people cleaning their boots or like the resoling and cobbling and stuff is like super highly edited with like nice ASMR audio. I'm curious how this is a format. I don't think I've seen anyone ever do this. I'm curious how this as a format is compared to any other popular format, whether or not it's interesting. I'm going to move this up a little bit more so you can still see, but a little bit more of my face gets in there. Double check to see if anyone put comments online. I don't think they did, but just in case, give us something to talk about. Dude, I saw my boy Nick retweeting me, but where is he in the chat? Where's Nick the 12th crown in the chat? He's not saying what's up unless he's secretly Orlog, which I don't think he is. You know, we've been up to like 8 people in the chat, and the only person to say what's up is my boy Jim and Orlog. So you guys are real. I appreciate it. Okay, these are definitely brushed now. And I think we're just going to keep going with what we have with the saddle soap. Tiny bit of water. I guess I don't need to drip it with my fingers. I discovered you can just pour it from that tiny little cup. And I just got it on my pants. That's fantastic. Although I probably need to, I guess I could do this with a strap for now. I could put the top one in here and so for this one, I'm going to make sure to work some of that saddle soap into the sides of the leather. Put my hand in here a little bit. A little bit of the sole, sorry, the sides of the leather sole. Just clean out that, get some hydration and moisture going on in there. Really get it deep inside these creases. All right, there we go. Also get it up in the stitching up here. Take a little bit more for the heel, the backstay. You know, you don't want to get you don't want to let dirt build up in this stitching. That could be a really bad potential failure point. I feel like Wrangler Star, like cleaning my boots and talking with you. Maybe he's the true pioneer of yapping while cleaning boots. You know what, Jim? That's not a brand collaboration exactly, but he's someone who I would, oh yeah, there almost is a little dry crack, not a crack, but like a really dry crease up here. So definitely good. It's about time, I think, that these got some TLC. A little bit more saddle soap. This one's bigger, but that would be sick to work with Wrangler Star. I would be happy for that. He's a real one, although he's not. He's kind of non-Catholic in his theology, but that's okay. I can leave him be. What does this smell like? I don't know if I love the smell. Maybe because it's called saddle soap, I associate this smell with like equestrian stuff, and that's why I'm thinking of it. I do feel like there's like an equestrian scent to the waxes. Maybe this is what the, like a, saddle store smells like, and I'm just thinking about this. I also think I might be spreading some of the pigment from these like across, because the shoe looks a lot more like the brown spots are a lot more blended in. All right, that's good enough for me on this boot. I'll put it over here for now. Jim said, I want my own rugby shirt. Hate the look of most of those. Oh, that would be a sick collaboration. Yeah, a rugby shirt would be really cool. J Press's new rugbies have too much going on and are too pricey. Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big fan of those new J Press rugbies. A lot of the what is the brand? The Barbarian brand, which is like what supposed to be, I guess, the OG. Like they made the rugby uniforms back in the day. Barbarian. That company is supposed to actually still make really good like OG. So what used to be the uniforms that people would wear while playing the sport of rugby, they still make those exact shirts, I think, but you know, those are now the fashionable ones. And then the actual rugby like playing shirts have gotten turned into, you know, all techie fabric and everything. So that could be interesting. Checking one of those out. They're a little expensive, but I don't know. I also don't like the a lot of rugby shirts have branding on them. I don't want the polo horse on a rugby shirt. That's not like, I don't know. It's just so not classic to me. Like all the Nietzschean vitalists on Twitter love like the polo logo, and it's just so, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. I'm not a big fan of. I like the polo horse objectively, like as a matter of design, but I don't want a logo on my shirt. Yeah, you say you'll check it out, but you're trying to chill. I feel you. I'm trying to chill, especially since I'm saving up for my trip to Japan. I was thinking, I'm like, everything I buy before I go to Japan is money I don't have to spend in Japan, you know? So it's like, kind of pick your poison. Like, do I want to have this to bring with me to Japan? Do I need this for the summer, XYZ? Like, I'm going to basically, I've been thinking, like, only buy what is absolutely necessary. Yeah, totally working the creases here. I don't want to get bad creases. Working these little scraped up areas, get some more hydration, get any dirt that was in here. Same thing with the sole, with the welt. Really get in there, kind of scrub it out, make sure there's nothing nasty. This line of stitching here. He said, you'll check it out. Agree, he bought a J Press on sale, and it says J Press with a flag. I don't hate the flag. To me, the flag is better than like the polo horse or something. I guess I just dislike the polo horse specifically. I would even rather have like the Lacoste alligator or something than the polo horse. I think as far as just like a sitting on a shirt logo, I think I just particularly am not a fan of the polo horse, actually, now that I've thought about it. So I guess I was lying. I am kind of just biased against polo. And you know what? I'm nervous. I can't remember whether or not I used saddle soap on my what are they called? Alden's. I think I might end up skipping those, to be honest. Maybe I'll clean my, well, now I can't go back and clean my Jim Greens. So I guess you're going to get 2 shoes tonight. It's too late. I messed up. I feel a little bit too nervous. I need to rewatch a video on how to clean shell cordovan. But you can see there's definitely this rag is picking up some pigment from these boots, which is one thing I thought about the first time I cleaned them. I definitely remember noticing that too. So I think I am probably right that when I was brushing these, a little bit of the pigment probably was carried over from the paint on top of the brown, like the brown leather that had been scraped off in the areas where the pigment had been scraped off. So there's probably not going to be quite as a high contrast patina, which I'm fine with, because I mean, I'm going to have these boots for like 20 years. So, or at least I would like to have these boots for 20 years. So I'm okay with the patina coming slowly. Within probably a year, I managed to keep like the toe really clean and nice, and I didn't have any big scrapes. They stayed pretty black for about a year. And then I was walking to class on campus one day, and I guess sometimes I don't pick up my feet enough when I walk, and I scraped the toe against some concrete or some cement or whatever on the steps when I was walking up the steps to go to class. And I was just like, oh man, okay, like it's over. You know, the first scrape has happened. You don't have to kind of autistically worry about scuffing them now. So at that point, like I'm not gonna, these are work boots or like work style boots, casual boots at least, not literally for working in, but so I was like, I'm not gonna worry about the scuffs anymore. And I'm not gonna like put black polish on them and dye the leather and stuff, like maybe for a pair of dress shoes, but not for these. The whole point of these is to have a beautiful patina. Also, because of what Orlog was saying, I almost feel like I should put a little bit of conditioner on these straps, but they look pretty good. I'll keep that in mind, though. And then a thing, too, is there's definitely a lot of the wax and stuff built up in these little lace, in the little strings in the welt on this. I think it's a Norwegian welt on these boots. So, like I said, that's fine. It'll just absorb in. I'm not super worried about that. It's not going to ruin it or anything. It's all natural. Saddle soap is a natural paste or whatever it is. Get all the excess saddle soap. Keep wiping. I mean, look at how brown this thing is getting. There is a lot of pigment. Okay, we got a new commenter, so let me honor this comment real quick, see what's up. Savaka. Hi, just joined the live stream. Question. What products are you using? The one pair of boots are from the 1930s and I take care of them, but need some products. Sure. I showed everyone earlier. This, what I'm wiping off of these shoes is saddle soap. Fiebing's saddle soap. Says clean and renew handbags, holsters, belts, saddles, sports gear. I like this. If it was a really light pair of boots, the color will slightly change, but I like this because it is it's like a natural material, and this won't darken your leathers too much. This, you can clean it, and once it dries, like if you had a super light material, like a really, really light, like caramel color or like a honey color, or even a natural leather, like an undyed leather, obviously those will get darkened, but these would not. This, like with these boots and stuff, the patina, the color is not going to get messed up by this saddle soap. This waxy Red Wing conditioner will darken your leather, but this is really thick and waxy and kind of goopy. And then this Meltonian polish, you can also use this Saphir Renovateur, I think, is probably similar to this, or it might be more similar to the saddle soap. But the Saphir products, Saphir, are like the most expensive, high quality, I would say, products for cleaning and maintaining shoes. And especially the Saphir, like the clear or the gloss finishes or the uncolored finishes and polishes, those are going to be great if you are worried about the color changing. Those won't change the color at all. So I would say if you have really old boots like that and you're really worried about the color, then I would use saddle soap or the Saphir products. And then if you're okay with them getting kind of waxy or goopy, if they really need it, then you could get something like the Red Wing wax. You could get, what is it called? There's that one, Obanoff's is like a wax. You can get some that are a mixture of like beeswax and certain oils, stuff like that. So I think mink oil will seriously darken a pair of boots. So if you wanted to have a pair of boots that like after every polish is like significantly darkened, you could put mink oil on them. There's a bunch of different options. I'm using Fiebing's saddle soap and Meltonian polish and Red Wing all natural leather conditioner, which is like a waxy, goopy material or texture. So that goes down. I hope that answered your question, Savaka. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. Okay. These are pretty dried off. Look at that toe. Super matte now. They need to dry a little bit more, but I mean, pretty uniform looking all of a sudden. I need to get this damn tongue a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Well, the issue now is that I got this all dirty, and I'm going to put black on my boots if I move over to any of the lighter boots. So, and these need to dry still more before they get, oh wow, yeah, look, there's like a little cut in the leather here. And I don't feel like maybe I just need to do 2 of these every week or something. until I'm done, but I'm not going to do a stream every week. Okay, I'm going to move the camera up for a minute and just talk to the camera, let these dry a little bit more. That's better. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. Okay, Nick just reposted 10 minutes ago. Is he here? Nick, if you're Nick and you're in this chat, then hit me up. While I'm waiting for the boots to dry, I'm going to show you guys some of my new pickups. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen these. This is the Japanese version of my favorite book, Amatora, or my favorite fashion book. I have the English version right over here. 1 second. Ooh, English version, Amatora, How Japan Saved American Style. And this is the super cool Japanese version. It opens left to right instead of right to left. You can see all the Japanese on the title, obviously. These are the Ivy Boys. They're like a really classic advertising. Little greaser, hippie. These ones are all more Ivy. This is like the heavy duty Ivy. These are like more real. This is like kind of a more, I guess it's kind of heavy duty too. That's like a real preppy feeling vibe there, I think. So I got this. Savaka, I will read your comment in 1 second. And then I got this, Hello Tokyo. So this is Popeye magazine. They invented like City Boy style technically. Well, I guess they didn't invent it. They named City Boy style. This is a tour or a whole guide to the city of Tokyo. Let me find a good page. But oh, this one's really cool. Just this little opening page. Hello Tokyo. Super cool. I'm going to use this to help me plan my trip. I have a bunch of other fashion books up here. You mostly just see the Hardy Boys and the Louis L'Amour books in my YouTube videos. That's what these are, by the way. And then up here is all of like my fashion catalogs, all of my fashion books, and then just some other random books, Tolstoy, Jack London, some of my philosophy books. But so that's that. Let me clean this brush real quick. Those are my new pickups. I talked about those in the unboxing video I did on my Instagram, and it's in the YouTube shorts here, actually, if you wanted to watch it. Check out my YouTube shorts. Trying to have everything kind of be like its own little universe. Everything kind of flows in, all of my different stuff. Let me get this whole brush wet. Try to get the polish or the saddle soap out. Because it's kind of a natural material, and I think this is like a boar's bristle brush, and it's wood. A lot of it's just going to soak up anyways, and it'll naturally degunk to a certain extent. Okay, that is fine. Let me see. Savaka just said, thank you. I just got them back from the cobblers, and he cleaned them well, plus put on a new sole, and they darkened them a tiny bit to your request. Yeah, so if they're already darkened, and now they need a little bit of conditioning, I'm going to assume they're a dark brown or a black. Just condition them right now. Don't worry about it. Especially, you can also do like with what I just did with the saddle soap. The saddle soap has enough conditioner in it that from a pure quality perspective, as long as they're not super cracked, like these are already starting to dry, you could probably do this once every 6 months and you could be fine. You wouldn't have to do a full conditioning. But if they're really beat up, then they do need some kind of fat on them and stuff. Then I wouldn't worry about that. These ones are still drying. These ones are still drying. And then the other thing I didn't do, which I probably could have justified, would be like taking a sponge to a certain extent and cleaning this leather right here. There's like some stains, like some paint or whatever, like these white stains are here. I'm not super worried about that. I'm just trying to make sure, especially because since I bought the shoe trees for these, oh, that's another thing, Savaka, for your boots. I would consider investing in a pair of shoe trees for them. I think they're like this brand. Oh, these are Grant Stone, the shoe company. But there's the Woodlore company, Woodlore. You can buy them on Amazon. They're like $30 for one pair, and they go inside your boots. And I would say that I've definitely noticed that they've already, I've had these boots, this pair right here, these black ones, for almost 5 years. And they have already kind of returned some of the shape, and they have relaxed how bad some of the creasing is here. So I would consider Like like Jim said, you need shoe trees. And I will say, especially if you're on a budget, there's a 3-pack on Amazon. If you can afford the 3-pack, just buy the 3-pack. It's going to have everything you need and there's no downside. If you can't afford the 3-pack, you can only afford one, then here's what you do. You buy one pair and you put them into your shoes that you took off. So because you should ideally have 2 pairs of shoes at least. And so whatever pair you took off, you move the shoe trees into those, and whatever shoes you're going to wear tomorrow, you take it out of those. Or what you can do is in the morning when you put on your shoes for the day, you can move them over because that gives them a little bit more time for the shoes to dry out. But shoe trees are going to suck the moisture out of your shoes when you get them wet. So like when you get your boots sweaty, you walk around all day in them, they're going to have a lot of moisture in them, and shoe trees are going to help suck all that out. They're going to help deodorize, and they're really going to help minimize the creasing here. And this creasing gets dirt in it, and these is going to be the first fail point on your boots, or for most people. So you're going to get like creasing here and scraping or whatever, and that's going to cause this to fail. So I would say definitely, especially for a pair of boots from the 1930s, those sound like cool and kind of historic or something like that. Make sure that you are, make sure that you are getting shoe trees in those if you want to take care of them. But ideally, you should eventually you should work your way up. Everyone, like once a month or something, buy another pair until the point that you have a pair of shoe trees in all your shoes. I don't have them in these big heavy boots right here. I think they might just mess them up more. This leather is so ridiculously thick. I haven't tried putting it in there. I don't want it to mess up the creasing on those toes since that's an unstructured toe. But yeah, definitely. Emotionally, I'm winding down a little bit right now. I'm going to keep going for as long as I can, let these dry a little bit more, but I might not have enough time. We'll see. But this has definitely been fun. I've enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a fun little celebration. It mostly ended up just being me celebrating with Jim for most of it. But thank you, Jim, for being here. I appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. We're not done quite yet, but winding down a little bit. Let me know any content you want to see from me, anything you think about. I'm always happy to take suggestions from everyone. What of my content have you guys liked recently? All that kind of stuff. But I'm just here to try to have a community and kind of pass on what information I know. And the nice thing is, for my perspective, when I'm writing my articles or making these YouTube videos, it forces me to think, what are my thoughts on this? What's my thought process on that? And it kind of forces me to refine my thoughts. And so it makes me better at clothes and all that kind of stuff. Good night, Jim. Yeah, it's late for you. But it kind of forces me to improve as well. So I appreciate being able to do all of this for you guys and with you guys. But yeah, you can see this pair, they're still pretty wet. I don't know how well you can tell, but I can already tell that they're a little bit waxed up. These definitely need a full condition. I'm definitely going to hit these up with a full condition. I might have to wait an hour longer and do this myself once this stream is over. This pair, actually, this black pair probably doesn't. I think just getting the waxes from this is enough. And then I think I'm just going to put a tiny bit of this shoe polish on these because this is a lighter. It's not as heavy. And this horsehide is kind of thin. I don't want a bunch of like thick, waxy fat all over this horsehide. So this will be a little bit thinner. It'll give it a little bit more of a shine. Which I think is cool with like the more military aesthetic of these. Wow, I managed to get a lot of the wax out of here, or it's just soaked in. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been really nice. Kind of just chill for a little bit. Feel free to drop anything you have to say, anything you want to say down below. Let's see. I noticed that my boy Nick never said what's up, so he reposted, but didn't say what's up in the chat unless he is someone else that I don't know. Trying to see what's going on right now. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Oh yeah, we're up to 1,105. So we've had like at least 15 new subscribers just today, which is pretty awesome. I really appreciate it. If any of you guys are new, feel free to subscribe. I'm moving away from doing like boot reviews and shoe reviews and product reviews and stuff, although there'll still be a little bit of that sprinkled in here and there, just because I don't want my ability to provide you guys with value to be contingent on me having to like delve into consumerism and constantly be buying things. And, I want to be able to provide you with value regardless of like what my bank account and my wallet allows me to purchase. And, the thing with clothes is that I have to have owned clothes and have experience with them and to be able to help you. So that's just kind of the name of the game. If we were playing like chess and I didn't own a chessboard, although I guess these days with internet chess, that's different. But traditionally I would have had to own a chessboard to be able to have helped you with chess. And so I want, don't want it to be completely contingent, although obviously there is serious overlap between those two things. Honestly, I'm kind of burning out here. So I'm just going to say thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to end it here. I'm not going to have time. I mean, these boots need 30, 40 more minutes to dry before they get any conditioner on them. So, I don't have enough to ramble and kind of sit here. I don't have the inspiration. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. I hope this has been a good stream. I hope you guys appreciate it. Really quick, let me show you the Substack. For those of you, I'm going to drop this in the description as soon as this is over. So come back in 5 minutes if you don't know about the Substack and subscribe. But let me see here. 1 second. A little bit of conditioner got smeared on my keyboard. So I'm going to show you the Substack, and this is where you should go and subscribe. I think I'm going to end up This is going to be eventually when we have premium content, it's going to all be here. So let's see here. Oh, there we go. Nick's in here now. What's up, Nick? Finally, I see that you had reposted, but I didn't see you in. So here is my Substack page, Classic Americana. This is my most recent article, J-Press Spring Summer 2026, the start of a new preppy golden age. This is journal entry 9. So here's how the Substack works. This is the Classic Americana Substack. Here we have the notes, which on Substack are just like little posts. This is me talking about my recent YouTube videos, obviously, different stuff like that. This is more of the social media aspect. Here is journal entries. These are long or independent essays. So these are like my longer essays. There's a little bit of political stuff, a little bit of cultural commentary, mixture of the two, a lot of fashion stuff in here too. Wardrobe essentials, a la 1962 Esquire, was I proven wrong, et cetera, et cetera. There are 9 journal entries so far. And then here we have notes on style. Notes on style is where I'm going to be giving an in-depth guide to the basics of men's classic Americana fashion. So here is our 3-part footwear series, Oxfords and Derbies, alternative shoe styles like loafers and monk straps, and then part 3, boots. This is going to continue. We're going to have a how to measure your clothes guide, which will help you buy clothes online. We are going to have a beginner guide to shirts, a beginner's guide to pants, jackets, suits, sports coats, everything you need for a basic classic Americana wardrobe to get you started. This is being written for beginners in mind. It's going to be somewhat redundant. Information might be repeated. My goal is to make this dummy proof. I want you to be able to come to me and say, hey, I need this, this, and this, and I want to be able to provide you with my own resources that I've created so that anything you need, that I can be a source for that information for you. And like I said, we will eventually also be publishing a Substack or a podcast on the Substack as well for premium subscribers. So this is my Substack. So we have these 3 so far. The How to Measure Your Clothes guide should be out soon. That's being co-written by one of my friends, or being written by one of my friends under Classic Americana. So it'll be published under his account, but published by Classic Americana. And then these are my essays. So far, my best performing essay is The Dominance of the Suit and the Politics of Men's Clothing. This was an essay that I wrote for Catholic Family News for the newspaper, and it did really well there. They really liked it. And this has done really well on my Substack as well. This will get turned into a video eventually. But that is that. How do I exit out? There we go. Oh, what the heck? Was this what it looked like before? Anyways, I should have done this the whole time. This looks way fuller screen. But yeah, so that's the Substack. Subscribe to the Substack if you're not already subscribed. I really appreciate it. That's between this YouTube channel and the Substack is everything you need to be fully integrated into this universe. If you want politics, check out A New Crusade. That is my political channel and cultural commentary channel. But besides that, that's going to be everything. Thank you so much for 1K subscribers. I really, really appreciate it, guys. It means the world to me. You know, I make this content for you guys, and I really appreciate all of the love and support. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.